네. a performance from Yuzo Fukuhara and Nagisa Morito-Gishkov. Since we are in Slovenia, I will just first open this ceremony with a few words in Slovenian and I will continue in English. Spoštovani udeleženki in udeleženci, dragi gostje, pozdravljeni in dobrodošli na 24. konferenci Mednarodnega združenja za kitajsko filozofijo. Naša konferenca letos poteka pod naslovom Naslavljanje globalnih kriz in preoblikovanje rešitev skozi prizmo kitajske filozofije. Sem Maja Kosec, glavna koordinatorka dogodka in danes vas bom popeljala skozi otvoritveno ceremonijo. Ker večina gostov prihaja iz tujine, mi prosim dovolite, da nadaljujem na angleškem in kitajskem jeziku. Distinguished guests, dear colleagues, welcome to the 24th Vienna Conference of the International Society for Chinese Philosophy, titled Addressing Global Crisis and Reimagining Solutions Through Chinese Philosophy, which is organized by the International Society for Chinese Philosophy and by the Department of Asian Studies at the Faculty of Arts, University of Ljubljana. My name is Maja Kosec and I am the Chief Coordinator of this event. I will introduce all the speakers of the opening ceremony and at the end also present some technical information regarding the conference. 尊敬的董事们，欢迎参加第24级国际中国哲学学会双年会。本集会议的主题是斗破中国哲学，应对全球危机，并中心构想解决方案。此次会议由国际中国哲学学会与卢布梁亚大学人文学院亚洲研究室联合主办。我叫郭玛雅，是本次活动的首席协调员。在开幕式上，我将为大家介绍所有的发言嘉宾，并在最后提供关于本次会议的后勤信息。开幕式的第一部分将以英语进行，最后的后勤信息将以中文、英文两种语言发布。So now, let me switch back to English and warmly welcome the rector of the University of Ljubljana, Professor Gregor Majdic, to deliver his short welcome address.
Ladies and gentlemen, esteemed scholars, honored guests, it is a true privilege to welcome you to the University of Ljubljana, the oldest and largest university in Slovenia, for this international conference dedicated to Chinese philosophy. We gather here from many countries and traditions, united by a shared belief that philosophy matters, not only as an academic pursuit, but as a living source of wisdom for the modern world and the world that in more wisdom is challenging and uncertain times. Chinese philosophy, with its deep historical roots and enduring relevance, offers us precisely that. In Confucianism, we find a vision of society grounded in virtue, education, and responsibility, values urgently needed today in our polarized societies. In Taoism, we are reminded of the importance of harmony with nature and art of living rather than forcing, a message particularly resonant in times of ecological crisis. And in Chinese Buddhism, we discover a profound understanding of suffering, compassion, and the impermanence of all things, what seems to be lacking in many societies today. As Lao Tse once wrote, knowing others is intelligence, knowing yourself is true wisdom. Mastering others is strength, mastering yourself is true power. These ideas transcend history and geography. They are part of a shared human heritage and they offer valuable tools for building a more balanced, ethical, and sustainable future for everybody on this beautiful blue planet. This conference is not just about interpreting the text or debating concepts. It is about opening space for dialogue across cultures, generations, and disciplines. It is about listening deeply to each other learning from differences, and exploring how ancient insights help us shape the better world for today. On behalf of the University of Ljubljana, I welcome you warmly to Ljubljana, to our small and beautiful city, and to our small and beautiful country. I wish you thoughtful discussions, new friendships, and inspiring time together, and I hope you will also have time to visit our beautiful country. Thank you, and once again, welcome to our university. We are very happy to have you here. I wish you a very successful conference.
Thank you, Professor Mladic. Now I would like to ask our next speaker, the Dean of the Faculty of Arts, Professor Mojca Schlamberger-Dresa, to deliver her short welcome address. Please.
Hvala lepa. Thank you very much. Spoštovani organizatorji, spoštovane kolegice in kolegi, spoštovani gostje. Lepo pozdravljeni na Filozofski fakulteti na otvoritvi konference Mednarodnega združenja za kitajsko filozofijo z naslovom Addressing Global Crisis and Providing Solutions through Chinese Philosophy, ki bo posvečena globalnemu reševanju sveta. Nagovor začenjam v slovenščini, saj je taka manira v našem prostoru, kar je za vas tujce odlična priložnost, da slišite malo akademske slovenščine. Ker gre za mednarodno konferenco in žal ne znam kitajsko, bom nadaljevala v angleščini. Dear conference attendants, dear organizers, please feel welcome at the opening of the 24th International Society of Chinese Philosophy on behalf of the Faculty of Arts of Ljubljana University, that is with our Department of Asian Studies, co-organizer of this conference. The Faculty of Arts is the central institution for humanities and social studies in Slovenia and the only one of the kind that has a Department of Asian Studies. Our Department of Asian Studies is one of the youngest, but one of the most active departments. Special thanks and greetings to all the organizers and especially to Professor Jana Roškar for bringing this conference biennially to Ljubljana. I know that at this conference you will also celebrate the 50th anniversary of your society. Please receive my heartfelt congratulations. In a spirit of planetary exchange of ideas and to enhance the voice of Chinese philosophy globally, this memorable conference will also mark the beginning of the impactful Summer of Chinese Philosophy in Europe, subsequently unfolding in Ljubljana, Reykjavik and Berlin. As Confucius said, isn't it delightful to have friends coming from afar? I find this quote very much on purpose to greet the multicultural society of you all cherishing Chinese philosophy as it highlights the joy of connecting with friends from different places and backgrounds. Some of you were already here 2 years ago when we met at the Grand Hall of Ljubljana University, where we all gathered for an official opening of the conference entitled Humanism, Posthumanism and Transhumanism in East Asian Past and Present. This year's conference will revolve around the compelling theme of addressing global crisis and remaining solutions through Chinese philosophy. The current crisis, such as aggressive wars, severe environmental disasters, unequal distribution of resources, viral pandemics, etc., are global problems that cannot be fully solved within the narrow framework of individual countries or nation states. As we can see, the European leading Western philosophy cannot fight the greediness of the world elites. The issues of unequal distribution of power and goods are seen at every moment, and nobody asks academicians what should be done. As you wrote in the introduction, the problems we are facing must be addressed within the larger framework of global cooperation and solidarity and should lead to the development of genuine intercultural dialogue that goes beyond the currently fashionable terminologies and can lead to a truly equal transcultural exchange of knowledge and ideas. The aim of the conference will be to explore both traditional and contemporary Chinese philosophical perspectives seeking their contributions toward crafting a new planetary ethos that emphasizes mutual understanding and practices of solidarity in confronting these universal challenges. I am sure you may find solutions to the global crisis during this conference, but their application will take more time, but it is very difficult to bring the changes to oneself or to the world. As Chinese proverb says, when the winds of change blow, some people build walls and others build windmills. I wish you a fruitful conference with lots of windmills, not walls, and a lot of good time on the premises of our faculty and in Ljubljana and in Slovenia. Thank you.
Najlepša hvala. Thank you, Professor Schramberger-Gräser. And now, let me welcome Professor Rory O'Neill, and let's enjoy his beautiful musical performance.
Good morning. I'm going to sing a Chinese song with an Irish jig. 天边飘过故乡的云，它不停地向我召唤，让身边的微风轻轻吹起，有个声音在为我呼唤，为害怕来有天涯的归来吧，还有别在四处漂泊，踏着沉重的脚步，那个地方长，让身边的微风轻轻吹起，这故乡的土里芬芳，归来吧。还有浪迹天涯的游子，归来吧，还有我的眼人漂泊，我是满怀疲惫，眼里是酸楚的泪，那个乡的风，那个乡的雨。为我去闯荡，我曾经好听晚岛，归来吹空空的行囊，那个乡的风，那个乡的人，为我抚平创伤。
That was truly amazing. Okay, so now let's get back to the welcome addresses. Let me welcome the Vice Dean for Research of the Faculty of Arts, Associate Professor Sasha Yashev, who will also welcome all the participants. The floor is yours.
Spoštovana gospa dekanja, draga Jana, draga Teja, distinguished guests, esteemed and dear colleagues. Ni mi neznano in vem, da čudno in novo je duhu obče uničenje to, ki nebes ogroža in zemljo. Vem, da bo sila težavno dokazati to mi z besedo. Pač, kot zgodi se, čez čim nezaslišanim stopiš pred ljudi, vendar ne moreš stvari očem predložiti v presojo, tudi ne v roke dodati. Vendar jo izrečem. Morda potrdil bo moje besede v kratkem dogodek resničen. Morda še sam boš doživel strašen potres, ki se su po namah vse razvaline. Toda to daleč od nas odvrni fortuna vodnica. Naj prepričate raje razum kot lastna izkušnja, vse da podreti utegne se z neznanskim hruščem in truščem. When in the mid-1st century before Christ, Titus Lucretius, an Epicurean, wrote his monumental work De Rerum Natura on the nature of things, his aim was to free humans from the fear of Roman gods and make them understand that the world did not depend on the will and games of gods, but rather on itself, on its own ratio. 4 elements, earth, water, air and fire, constitute the world, he wrote. They change, arise and expire. The same goes for humans, who, like the elements, are made up of tiny particles, atoms. Everything has a beginning, wrote the great Roman, and everything shall ultimately perish, shall tumble as it chose. But this finding about finality should not diminish a person's endeavor for life, moreover, for courage to do great things in life. On the contrary, it should act as an encouragement both, as our time is very short and thus very precious, also making us humans very precious. And yet, today, we have little grounds to be truly courageous. Climate change, recurring pandemic crisis, divided political communities, the continuation of old wars and the eruption of new ones, the estrangement of social classes, the twilight of religions on the one hand and religious extremism on the other, apparent shifts in political power and more or less covered constitutional amendments to the tyranny. We live in times of monstrous global changes, crisis and truly momentous change. Every such change takes place within the coordinates of the world, which comprise nature, human beings, authority, and more recently, artificial intelligence. This is a new historical reality that brings about great new challenges and dilemmas facing humanity and each of us. In solving our dilemmas and facing our challenges, reimagining solutions that serene human thought, ratio humana, can provide will be essential. And yet, ratio humana does not fall from the sky. One could sooner say that it contains something devilish. Faust made a deal with the devil to reach discovery, giving himself up in the process. In other, less metaphorical words, reimagining solutions require high, daring risks. One has to let oneself be taken beyond the imaginable, has to be fully human, noble, sober, and serene, and courageous. In other words, one has to come up to a philosopher. When today, more than 2,000 years after Titus Lucretius, we meditate about global crisis of our times, the reflections of Lucretius seem an inside-out parallel of sorts. While the Epicurean tried to free humans from fear of gods who, as was the general view at the time, regulated the world and were the origin of everything. The point now is to accept the fact that it is not only rational, noble and free humans who regulate the world. Alongside and with them there is, whether we like it or not, human psychosis. Philosophers do not go around the world, fools do. Indeed, we live in crazy times. We all tend towards folly. Let me explain my point briefly. Last week, Spider Festival of Radical Bodies, took place in Ljubljana, a festival where performative arts and sciences and philosophy meet. These are the words used by the organizers around Varakolens, a philosopher, to describe their commitment and announce the program of the festival. It looks like we are amid psychosis fostered by algorithms, multifaceted effects of digital capitalism, and the unprecedented materialization of virtual space. The internet and the AI at its utmost is not just a new medium. It is an ultimate medium that tends to terminate the very function of mediation. A rebound effect seems to be at work. The more we practice sobriety, the more we slip into a hypnotic state of mind. Or is it psychosis? We are turning into witnesses of our own disintegration, a disconnection, a loss of meaning, a direct facing of the unbearable given of existence. From a standard neurotic perspective, one that eventually constructs the social fabric and various imaginary frameworks of our worlds and identities, we can propose the following. If the 20th century was neurotic, the 21st century is psychotic. If we once spoke of ideology as mass psychosis, religion as the opium of the people, today, with n multiplication of master signifiers, we can observe the fragmentation of ideology itself, its extreme incoherence, its utter incapacity to claim any truth. If this is the case, I have no reasons to dispute it myself. I see no other ways to address the issue than the ways of philosophy, ways of serene high thoughts, courageous high visions, and radical sober talks. Your conference is one of these ways. Allow me finally to share with you one of my recent impressions that has particularly stayed in my mind and gives me the most hope. At the German Pavilion at the 17th Venice Architecture Biennale in 2021, architects, urban planners, philosophers and artists gathered around Olaf Graver answered the greatest questions: how will we live together, with a vision of the future of an orderly, just, good, peaceful, in short, blissful and serene world. They named their vision 2038, the new serenity. 2038 is the year when the imagined humans would manage to overcome all the great challenges of their world and time. 2038 is a year of peace. This is how the vision goes. The 2020s were tough. It was only in the early 30s of the 21st century that the world came to its senses. Instead of eliminating the broken capitalist system, we used the infrastructure as a platform. States, institutions and tech companies joined forces and designed a universal, adaptable and viable system with collective goals. While local structures have enough autonomy to organize and manage themselves decentrally. Equality is our main objective. Taxes are celebrated as a part of permanent redistribution. In the past, technology was enslaved for purely capitalist purposes, leaving the real transformative potential of many achievements untapped. Existing, sometimes forgotten ideas were activated with the fundamental socio-political change in the late 2020s. Ecosystems are now legal entities. Most rivers, lakes and mountains even own themselves. Drama is almost forgotten. We live in a radical democracy and in a radical bureaucracy. We need neither heroes nor villains. We call our time the new serenity. Isn't that beautiful? We can think that far. And yet, we are where we are for now. We are further away than we might have expected, closer to ourselves than we might have thought or perhaps wished. Further away from ourselves than we might have wished to be, too close to ourselves as we certainly are. We are what we are. There is no more to be expected, honesty tells us. More is to be expected, duty tells us. The right measure both reminds us and encourages us, less is more. It will be what it will be if only the measure were right. I wish us the right measure today when we all have to cry out, all is twisted. Remember, more is more if the measure is right. And right now, the right measure is the measure of radical sobriety and serene visions. Be fierce as the wind, be majestic as the forest, be destructive as fire, be at rest as the mountain, be mysterious as the night, be swift as thunder or lightning. Victory belongs to the one who masters the stratagem of the twisted and the straight. Masterson has spoken. I wish you the most inspiring conference. I wish you it is indeed an important conference. It can open doors for us all to new serenity. Thank you very much in advance. I wish you new serenity.
Thank you, Professor Resha. Okay, so now we are back to the music program, and I would like to welcome Professor Bruce Boring to play us some first.
Well, Yama asked us to come up with playing this opening ceremony. This is a song written in English 50 years ago. You can take it either as wildly idealistic or wildly cynical. But I think an appropriate invitation for this one is either case. There goes mind games together, pushing the barrier, planting seeds, doing the mind gorilla, chanting the mantra, a peace on earth. Stopping those mind games forever.
We all enjoyed it a lot. Okay, and now it's my great honor to introduce to you our last speaker, the president of the IACP and the chief academic organizer of this conference, the heart and mind behind this event, Professor Jan Maroška.
Hvala Maja, thank you Maja, zelo prijazno prezentirano predstavitev for your kind and giving it quite exaggerate introduction. So, here we are. Dragi prijatelji in ljube prijateljice, spoštovane kolegice, cenjeni kolegi. Dear friends, esteemed colleagues, and dear companions. 敬爱的朋友们，尊敬的同仁，亲爱的伙伴们。V veliko čast in veselje mi je, da vas lahko pozdravim na tej jubilejni konferenci Mednarodnega združenja za kitajsko filozofijo, s katero bomo med drugim zaznamovali 50. obletnico tega združenja, ki ga je leta 1975 ustanovil pokojni profesor Zhang Zhongming. Vse odtlej se je to združenje v polovici stoletja svojega obstoja izkazalo kot zelo pomemben most med zahodno in kitajsko filozofijo, pa tudi kot pomembna platforma za transkulturne filozofske dialoge, ki so danes bolj potrebni kot kadarkoli v svetu. S tem zgodovinskim srečanjem želimo pokazati, da se bo to združenje uspešno razvijalo še naprej in sicer na zelo pozitiven način, saj sodita spoštovanje do raznolikosti in vključevanja, ki sta tudi med najpomembnejšimi značilnostmi kitajske filozofije, kitajske filozofske tradicije, med najpomembnejše vrednote, ki opredeljujejo njegovo delovanje. It is a great honor and joy for me to welcome you to this anniversary conference of the International Society for Chinese Philosophy, through which we will commemorate the 50th anniversary of this society, founded in 1975 by late Professor Zhang Zhongming. Since then, over the course of half a century, the society has proven to be one of the most important bridges between Western and Chinese philosophy, as well as a significant platform for transcultural philosophical dialogues that are more necessary today than they were ever before. With this historic gathering, we wish to demonstrate that society will continue to thrive and develop in a positive direction with respect for diversity and inclusion. It is by no means a coincidence that these values also rank among the most important characteristics of the Chinese philosophical tradition, belonging to the core principles that guide its mission. 我怀着无比的荣幸与喜悦的心情，欢迎大家参加本次国际中国哲学学会的周年纪念会议。这个学会由程中英教授于1975年成立。通过这个会议，我们就共同纪念学会成立的50周年，就是半个世纪。从这个学会成立之后，或者从这个学会成立开始，在半个世纪的发展过程中，这个学会已经被公认为连接中西哲学最重要的桥梁之一。同时， 也是推动跨文化哲学对话的重要平台。这样的对话在当今这个时代，比以前任何一个时候都更为重要，更不能缺少。通过这次具有历史意义的聚会，我们希望文学会将在尊重多样性与包容性的基础上，继续蓬勃发展，迈向积极的未来。值得强调的是，这些价值观也正是中国哲学传统中最为重要的特质之一，是引领它的生命的核心原则. In ko smo že omenili duh vključevanja, bi pa že na samem začetku našega srečanja želela prositi za nekoliko potrpljenja, ker sem tale uvodni del svojega otvoritvenega govora povedala v 3 jezikih, ki so pomembni za to konferenco in torej morajo biti njen del. Prva je slovenščina kot jezik države in kulture, ki to konferenco gosti. Druga je angleščina kot lingua franca sodobnega akademskega sveta. Tretja pa kitajščina kot tisti svetovni jezik, v katerem je zapisana filozofija, o kateri bomo v okviru tega srečanja diskutirali in od katere se bomo zagotovo spet naučili marsikaj novega. And since we have already mentioned the spirit of inclusivity, I would like to ask for a bit of patience at the very beginning of my speech, because I will deliver this first part of my opening speech. I am delivering this first part of my opening speech in 3 languages that are important for this conference and therefore must be a part of it. The first is Slovenian, of course, the most important one, as the language of the country and culture hosting this conference. The second is English, as the lingua franca of the contemporary academic world. And the third is Chinese, as the global language in which the philosophy we will be discussing during this event is written, and from which we will undoubtedly learn many new things once again and again. 既然提到了包容的精神，我也想在这次聚会的一开始请求大家，给予一些耐心啊，因为我将把这个演讲的开场部分用3种语言呈现。这3种语言对这个会议都具有重要的意义，因此它们理应成为其中的一部分。第一是斯洛文尼亚语，作为本次会议主办国的语言。第二是英语，作为当代学术界的共用语。第三是中文，作为我们将此次会议中探讨哲学所使用的语言。而这门语言当然也是再次会带领我们学到许多新的东西和新的思想、新的知识。Ker pa filozofija ne sme biti dogmatična in ker nočem več dolgo veziti, ter še naprej postavljati vašega potrpljenja na preizkušnjah, bom kljub svoji kritiki redukcije mišljenja na lingua franca, ki bo sledila, v preostalem najdaljšem delu svojega nagovora govorila samo še po angleščini. Kitajski prevod nadaljnjega besedila pa lahko zasledujete na prosojnicah, ki spremljajo moj govor. However, since philosophy must not be too dogmatic, and because I do not wish to go at length and continue testing your patience, I will, despite my forthcoming critique of the reduction of thought to a lingua franca, deliver the remaining and longest part of my address in English only. So you can follow the Chinese translations of the text on the slides, accompanying on the PPT, accompanying my speech. So
然而，因为哲学绝不应该是教条主义的，也因为我不愿意占用太多的时间或者继续考验各位的耐心，尽管我稍后将会批判将思想简单化为单一通用语言的倾向，但是我就接下来的主要发言的部分，就是也就是最长的部分，我只要用英语进行对讲。大家可以在我演讲所备的这个幻灯片，就是这个 PPT 上看到中文的译文。So. This trilingual introduction we have just witnessed naturally carries some kind of symbolic significance. And it is perhaps we, as scholars in the field of philosophy, who best understand the weight that these symbolic forms of language can bear. Forms which, in their performative function, do not merely convey meaning, but simultaneously co-create relations of power, identity, and the very possibilities of thought. The spirit of inclusion is especially important when we speak of philosophies, languages, and cultures that do not belong to the hegemonic dominance of the contemporary structures of power shaping today's globalized world. Of course, we have all long become accustomed to English being the lingua franca of modern academic interaction. On the other hand, on the one hand, of course, this greatly facilitates direct communication among researchers and scholars from all parts of the world. But on the other hand, English is not a neutral, artificially constructed global language like Esperanto, for instance, which embodies an egalitarian idea. Rather, it is a language spoken and taught by those who were born into it, socialized in it, and feel most comfortable using it. Precisely the segment of the global population that has dominated the world and shaped the fate of much of the planet since the era of colonialization. The dominance of English is thus, on one level, a convenient means of communication, but on another, it deepens the marginalization and discrimination of all cultures, traditions, and languages that do not belong to the Anglophone linguistic and intellectual heritage. Cheers. So, this discrimination and marginalization do not harm only the members of languages and cultures that are left voiceless, but ultimately affect all of us as members of humanity. Why? Let me illustrate this with an example from ecology. As we all know, the modern ecological crisis is a constitutive part of the most pressing global crisis. When discussing this crisis, we often refer to the problem of extinction affecting numerous animal and plant species and other forms of organic life. Each species that disappears in the explosive whirlpool of the ecological destruction takes with it an unrepeatable configuration of life, a unique mode of being and relation to the world that cannot be replaced. At the same time, such loss destabilizes the fragile ecological balance, the collapse of which threatens human existence itself. So, this situation is similar to the extinction of numerous small, seemingly insignificant languages, which we witness daily in the modern world. Approximately 9 languages go extinct each year in today's world, which means that one language disappears every 40 days. This rate of extinction has increased over the past decades. About 10 years ago, the average time between extinctions was one language every 90 days. According to the ELCAT project, Endangered Language Catalog, about 4 languages go extinct each year, meaning that one disappears every 3 months. According to UNESCO estimates, of the 6,000 to 7,000 languages spoken in the world today, nearly half are endangered, with between 50 and 90% of these languages expected to become extinct by the end of the century. The main reasons for language extinctions include, of course, globalization, migration, the dominance of major languages in education and media, and reduced intergenerational language transmission. So, and we must understand that the loss of each language is not merely the loss of a unique cultural heritage, knowledge, and the identity of a community. It also means the loss of a specific, singular, and unrepeatable worldview, a way of understanding and expressing the reality we live, and that forms a part of ourselves. It represents an impoverishment of our shared potential for thought, which we possess as humanity. And it is precisely we, as scholars of philosophy, who best understand that it is the diversity of perspectives and worldviews that most effectively unveil the wheels covering the many dimensions of truth. As philosophers engaged with Chinese philosophy and its potential to enter the realm of contemporary global philosophy, we also serve as bridges, striving to connect mutually distant cultures and the very different views of reality that these cultures generate and question. In this role, we perhaps best understand that the task of philosophy is by no means to convey a single, universally valid truth. That is the role and mission of religion. The task of philosophy, in contrast, lies in opening ever new questions about the true nature of reality and the world in which it is rooted, doing so in a variety of ways and from a multitude of different perspectives. So, the theme of this year's ISCP conference is highly ambitious and far-reaching. It almost sounds as if we intend to save the world through Chinese philosophy, right? Of course, the world cannot be saved by Chinese philosophy. Just as Yang Zhu already observed, it cannot be saved even by sacrificing one hair from one's own head. Nevertheless, it remains important to reflect on the problems of today's world through the lens of philosophy and philosophical dialogues that connect the Chinese and Western traditions and their contemporary context. But philosophy is problematic. It has its issues. Today, it may even be on the verge of survival. My students very often ask me whether classical philosophical questions are still relevant at all. They wonder whether ancient concepts can even be meaningfully connected to our modern ways of thinking. They suggest that we should not limit our discussions to abstract theory, but instead try to bring them closer to contemporary people by applying their content in practical context. In this way, they would become easier to understand and people would more readily grasp why they are important. So such questions clearly show that many people perceive purely philosophical discussions as something superfluous, something alienated from real life, and therefore entirely irrelevant. I cannot agree with such a view of the world and philosophy. I strongly disagree with it. Sorry. Philosophy, in my view, is not merely a form of intellectual play or a self-indulgent engagement with one's own thoughts. It is not a game of sophisms or a pursuit of intellectual self-gratification. On the contrary, philosophy is the foundation of all critical thinking. The modern world, including science, law, politics, and ethics, has taken shape through centuries of philosophical debate. Without theoretical reflection, we would not even know how to ask the right questions, let alone understand the answers. Without theoretical reflection on reality, we would still be living in the Stone Age, lacking the intellectual groundwork necessary for the development of technology and empirical sciences. Of course, it is true that practical applications make it easier to understand ideas. It is equally true that our creation of ideas and our reflection on them, our critical engagement with reality, ultimately leads to our fundamental goal, which is expressed in the desire to reshape and improve the world we live in. At first glance, then, it seems that only such an understanding of reality, one based on a clear insight into the benefits of directly applying ideas, offers the fastest and most effective path toward meaningful and significant change. But we must understand that the most important discoveries in science, which have time and again led to revolutionary breakthroughs in the development of technology and material goods, were merely byproducts of theoretical constructions of reality. The search for the most effective application through the lens of instrumental rationality, which dominates the modern world, doomed to collapse if it goes on in the way it goes at the moment. So, such search has never been the primary impulse or driving force between theory. Theory, in fact, is grounded in the value of uselessness, as presented by the essays of Johnson, and in the aesthetics of pure structures, as explained by Jikang. So, The simplification of reality and its reduction to the utilitarianism of short-term benefits is therefore not the central task of philosophy, which belongs to the core theoretical discipline in the humanities. The task of philosophy is a thorough and radical reflection of the complexity of reality, which often resists simple explanations. In other words, humanities and philosophy as their foundation are grounded in theoretical thinking and in a qualitative insight into the nature of reality, not merely in empirical data about actualities. The contributions of theory to practice are crucial, as they shape the frameworks within which we can meaningfully interpret data, understand social and cultural phenomena, and formulate meaningful responses to the challenges we face today. Such thinking is often demanding and does not always yield immediate results or clear meanings. And yet, it is essential for preserving the significance of human existence and for the advancement of humanity. So the complex crises we face today, such as wars, environmental catastrophes, unequal distribution of resources, viral pandemics and others, they belong, of course, to global problems. They cannot be fully addressed in the narrow frameworks of individual nation-states. They must also be approached within the broader context of global cooperation and solidarity. Such strategies require the development of genuine intercultural dialogue that is a dialogue that goes beyond currently fashionable slogans and can lead to truly equitable transcultural exchange of knowledge and ideas. In this effort, our conference will focus on traditional and contemporary Chinese philosophy. And as we will see over the course of the conference, many contributions clearly highlight the fact that Chinese philosophy can offer insights into a wide range of perspectives and principles that may potentially contribute to the development of innovative reflections on new solutions to global crises. So, to conclude, these solutions will certainly not remain confined to addressing globalization based solely on economic and political criteria of continuous accumulation of material profit and power. Rather, they will also point toward alternative approaches aligned with the idea of planetary as articulated by Gayatri Spivak. For we all wish to live in a world that is balanced, that is non-violent, that is unpolluted, and in which we are not all the same but equal in worth. So in the spirit and on this foundation, I'm pleased and honored to officially declare the opening of this conference, which offers us new opportunities for fruitful exchange of ideas and knowledge. I hope it will bring us a wealth of new insights, new opportunities, and above all, new friendships. And I would also like to use this opportunity to thank all the numerous people that have helped us in organizing this event. In the name of the entire organizing team, I would like to express my gratefulness to the executive board of the ISCP, which was supporting us all the time, and then to the leadership of our university, and and of our faculty, and also to our to the head of our Department of Asian Studies. Thank you all for your friendship and your support. Thank you also for your patient listening.
Thank you, Jana. Okay, and now we'll get to the logistic information part. For those of you who are a little bit jet lagged and might forget some of this information, the whole speech is printed in English and Chinese in this booklet, so you may come back to it later. Okay? But now I will take a few minutes to outline some important logistical information about the conference to ensure everything runs smoothly over the next few days. The following information will be explained in both English by me and by my colleague Huru in Chinese.
现在我想花几分钟为大家介绍一些关于会议后勤保障的重要内容，确保接下来的几天一切顺利进行。以下信息将用英语和中文讲解。
So this conference will take place for 4 days, starting with the current opening ceremony and followed by a short coffee and tea break in the aula of the faculty, that is the place where we registered. Afterward, we will proceed with a plenary session featuring distinguished keynote speakers, Professor Roger Ames and Professor Robin Wang. Thank you for being here. All the 3 keynote speeches, including Professor Heidenreich's speech, Hi, hello, thank you. Which will take place tomorrow. All the 3 keynote speeches will take place in this lecture hall, the lecture hall 15. But to ensure that all the attendees can participate, we will simultaneously have a transmission in the lecture hall number 2. This is just across the hall. But please note that the attendees seated in the lecture hall number 2 will not be able to raise questions in the Q&A section, so please choose your seating wisely.
本次会议将持续4天，开幕式结束后有短暂的茶歇时间。我们准备了咖啡和点心，大家可以移步至学院大厅享用。紧接着，我们将进入大会报告环节。2位杰出的主旨演讲嘉宾安乐哲教授和 Robin Wang 教授将发表演讲。今天的嘉宾演讲以及明天由 Heiner Rose 教授进行的演讲，均在15号报告厅举行。为了确保所有与会者都能参与，演讲将在2号报告厅进行同步直播。2号报告厅位于15号报告厅的正对面。在2号报告厅与会者将无法在问答环节中参与提问，请注意报告厅的选择。
In addition to the plenary sessions and keynote speeches that will be held here, the majority of the session will feature 5 parallel panels, held in lecture halls 2, 15, and down the hallway 13 and 4, which are a little bit smaller than this one, conveniently located all on the ground floor of the same wing of the faculty. The outer midst readers and the round table sessions will be held on the 5th floor of the faculty. 2 elevators are available on both sides of the aula for your convenience.
平行论坛以及作者与读者的座谈会，除了开幕式、大会报告和主旨演讲外，大部分会议将在5个平行论坛展开，分别在2号、4号、13号和15号报告厅举行。这些报告厅都位于学院同一栋教学楼的底层。作者与读者座谈会将在5楼的蓝厅举行。为了方便出行，您可以使用大厅2侧电梯。
The registration desk, located in the aula, where you collected your conference materials, will remain open throughout the first 2 days of the conference. However, if you have friends coming in late, maybe on the 3rd or even on the last day of the conference, the conference materials will be waiting for them at the info point, the same desk. So there is no problem, they can register on whatever day if they had a problem with their flights or whatever. Everything is waiting there for them, so no worries. All registered participants are invited to enjoy 2 coffee breaks daily, which will also take place in the aula. One in the morning, between the morning sessions, and one in the afternoon around 4 p.m.
签到处与茶歇区，签到处设在学院大堂及您领取会议资料的地方。签到处将在会议的前2天持续开放，大厅也将提供咖啡和茶饮，每天上午和下午各1次，欢迎所有已注册的嘉宾享用。
About lunch. Warm lunches will be served on the first floor, so 1 level above us. Elevators are accessible for those who prefer not to use the stairs. If you will be seeking a quiet space during lunch, several empty lecture halls on the first floor will be open for your use. As lunch breaks will generally be fairly long, you might also choose to take a short walk after your meal. There is a small park called Foster's Park just behind the faculty building. If you go out and turn right, you will find it. And the old town is also just a 5 minutes walk away, so it's ideal for a brief stroll to stretch your legs and have digest your meals. We will have a vegan and a vegetarian option always served during lunch.
午餐安排，午餐将在1楼大厅提供，位于我们现所在楼层的上1层。需要使用电梯的与会者可使用大厅2侧电梯。如您需要一个更安静的用餐空间，1楼多个空置报告厅也将开放，供您自由使用。由于就餐时间通常比较充裕，你也可以选择饭后散步。学院大楼后有一个小公园——福斯特公园。此外，老城区与学院相距仅5分钟步行距离，二者皆是活动筋骨、帮助消化的理想选择。
A few words about welcome reception and the closing dinner. We've been, trying to get your attention to it during registration already. So if you registered for the welcome reception, which will take place tonight at 7:30 in the City Museum, so not here, but a different location, just a few minutes walk away, or for the closing dinner, which will take place on Monday at 7 p.m., you should have registered before online, and you received the entrance coupons together with your name tags and accountant's bags. Everyone received, there is an envelope with your name. Inside there is a red coupon for tonight's dinner and a blue coupon for the dinner on the last day. Both events are free, but limited to the registered guests only. So for those heading there directly from the faculty, you will meet at the aula at 7 or a few minutes after 7. We will take a group photo in front of the faculty, and then we will walk you, our students will walk you to the City Museum, where the welcome reception will take place. If you will walk there by yourself, be there by 7:20 more or less. You have a little map with all the locations on the left side of the city booklet. So you got 2 books. One is the book of abstracts, the big one, and this smaller one. So on the first side here, you have all the addresses, if you will put them into Google Maps, and you have also a little map printed out for you on the last page. You can meet us there, or we can walk you there. If we walk you there, please meet us at 7 in front of the university. So many details as said are available in the booklet and also on the website.
欢迎招待会与闭幕晚宴。如果您已经报名参加欢迎招待会，位于6月20日晚上7点半，或闭幕晚宴6月23日晚上7点，请您确认保管好2次活动的入场券。2张入场券是随着参会名牌以及会议袋发放的，入场券将是您参加这些活动的凭证。这2项活动免费，但仅限于已注册的嘉宾。从学院直接前往活动地点的与会者，请按以下的时间集合：欢迎招待会周五晚7点，闭幕晚宴周一晚6点半集合。我们的学生志愿者届时将会带您前往活动地点。对于希望自行前往的嘉宾，活动地点的详细信息 可以在会议手册和会议官网上找到。
And for the closing dinner, I forgot to mention, we will also be waiting for you at the Aula of the Faculty at 6:30, and we will walk you to the Chinese restaurant Han, where the closing dinner will take place. Or you can walk there by yourself at your convenience. Okay, the next topic is the special musical theater performance. For this one, you were not automatically registered during your online registration. You had to send me an email confirming how many tickets you want, because the number of seats is limited. We still have, I think, it was around 20 or 30 in the morning, but it might be less now. So if you didn't get tickets, if you would like to go, if you would like to bring your family members with you, that's open also for not registered participants. So go to the registration table and ask if there are still tickets available. I think there should be a few of them left. So, on Sunday evening, we have this special musical theater performance titled The Frog in the Well. It will take place at Ljubljana St. Jacob's Theatre. This play was written by our conference organizer, Professor Jana Roškar, and will be played by the faculty, teachers, students, and a few special guests from this very audience. So you are very welcome to join. As said, I hope there's no tickets available. The performance will begin at 8 p.m. sharp, and attendance is free for all participants and family members. Please bring your tickets with you for both dinners and for the theater performance. Do not lose them. We will not know by heart everyone who said yes or said no, so please bring them with you. So, to go to the theater, that is a little bit further away, it's still a walkable distance, but it's a little bit on the other side of the city center. So our students will be waiting for you at the faculty door at 7:15, 7 1/4. And another group of students will be waiting for you at Prešeren's statue at Prešeren Square, that is in the city center. There's a big statue of our most important poet, and there are 3 bridges by the side. That's the main square of Ljubljana, you almost cannot miss it. So there will be our students in the blue t-shirts, like this, waiting for you there at 7:30, and they will take you to the theater performance. Again, all the directions are also here and on the website, if you prefer to walk there by yourself.
特别音乐剧表演，周日晚，我们诚挚地邀请您参加一场专为本场论坛特别准备的音乐剧表演《井蛙之剑》。此剧将在卢布雅尔纳的圣雅各布剧院上演，由我们的会议组织者、国际中国哲学学会会长罗亚娜教授创作，并由学院教师、学生以及会议特别嘉宾共同演出。表演将于晚上8点准时开始。所有已预定座位的与会者及其家属可免费观演。如您已领取门票，请妥善保管，以票入场。如果您尚未预定座位，目前仍有部分余票可供领取。在早上还有20张，现在可能更少了。感兴趣的，请在签到处领取。我们的学生志愿者将在以下2处集合点带领大家前往剧院：学院大门前于晚上7点15集合，普列舍伦广场的普列舍伦雕像下是斯洛文尼亚的著名诗人。在这个雕像下于晚上7点半集合。有关场地的详细说明也可在会议手册和会议官网中找到。
As said, the booklet includes all the venue details, meeting times, a city map, and also, that might be important for you, a free Wi-Fi login information. Just when you open it, on the first side. There is the everyone access and also a special login information for all the conference participants. If you have any questions or encounter any issues, our team is here to assist. So look for anyone in a blue t-shirt, like my colleague is wearing, or look for me, even though I don't have the blue t-shirt. We will be at the registration table and we will be there ready to help you with whatever comes up. So the info point will be available after the registration officially closes. Technical support staff will be also present in all the lecture halls, so every time you come in and are ready to start your presentation, there will be there one of our students who will help you put your presentation on the computer. Please ensure that your PPTs are stored on a USB stick, as our system does not support external computers. It is not that we do not want to help you with that, just the computer will crash, so we cannot connect it. You can get it on from your email account or from your USB stick, but not from your personal laptop.
便捷资源，会议手册中包含所有会场信息、集合时间、城市地图以及免费 WiFi 登录信息。如果您有任何疑问或遇到问题，请随时寻求帮助。我们的工作人员都身着印有文学院标志的蓝色 T 恤，就是我这件。您可随时向他们求助。签到台设有服务点，各报告厅也配有技术支持人员。如需帮助上传影视文稿，请提前准备好 USB 等移动存储设备。请您理解，我们将无法支持外接电脑设备。
The only information which is missing from this booklet is the fact that we arranged a free public city transport access for all of you. So when you got your name tags on the back, you can see a QR code. And this will provide you with free rides on the Ljubljana public transport, so on all the buses within the city of Ljubljana. They're limited to 4 rides daily, but from what I understood, actually, we have a common number of rides, 3,000 something for all of us. So if some of you probably will not use that much because you live very nearby, there will be more rides for the other ones who may be located further away. Anyway, the average is 4 a day. You scan it with, on the side of the driver there is a machine. You need to put it under the machine to scan the QR code. If you will just put it like this, it will not. You need to put it under the scan code. It will be valuable. It will work for all the 4 days of the conference, including the Monday.
免费城市公共交通指南，我们为所有与会者提供了免费的城市公共交通二维码。您的胸牌背面有一个二维码。每次乘车时都需要出示该码验证。所有的公共交通在卢布雅尔纳城市里都可以使用。会议期间4天，每个二维码1天内最多可免费乘车4次。就上车的时候需要在司机旁边会有一个 machine， 然后就是像刚刚玛雅展示的，就是要在下面扫，如果只是出示，可能扫不到。
Okay. So today, after the last plenary session at 7, we would like to invite you to gather in front of the faculty at the staircase in front, and we will all take a photo together. As for those of you who prefer not to be photographed, we had a few of you informing us that would prefer not to appear in photos. Please be informed that a designated area will be reserved in all the last rows, in a last row of every lecture hall. You can see it up there, for example. There will be a sign saying no photography corner. So individuals seated in this back row will not appear in any images, and if the technical requirements of certain shots, this does happen accidentally, those individuals will not be recognizable, as they will be either blurred afterwards or depicted only from behind, without showing their faces. We also kindly ask you to voluntarily step away from the group photo that we will take today in front of the faculty.
谢绝拍摄区域，各位与会者请注意，在所有讲堂的最后一排将设有指定区域，供谢绝拍照的人员使用。坐在这些指定区域的人员不会出现在任何照片中，哪怕因某些特殊原因意外被拍摄，也请放心，我们会将涉及影像的画面进行模糊处理。这些画面至多显示背部影像，不会显示面部肖像。此外，在今天的日程结束后，我们将全部聚集在学院门前，由我们的摄影师为所有与会者拍一张集体照。 但如果不想参加这张集体照，我们也请您自愿从人群中移开，以确保您的意愿得到尊重。
Okay, we are almost at the end. So the last piece of information is that the following days are supposed to be quite hot in Ljubljana. We are expecting 30 degrees or even a little bit more. And the lecture halls in this faculty and most of faculties in Europe do not provide air conditioning. We have ventilation, which also cools down the air, but not quite as much as air conditioning. We believe the temperatures will stay bearable, but please wear light clothes, drink enough water, and don't expect to be freezed when you attend the panels. So finally, again, if you need any assistance at any point, please do not hesitate to reach out to us. We are here to help and to ensure your time in the conference is enjoyable and productive. I would like to thank you for your attention, and I wish you a successful and enriching conference experience. Thank you.
最后说明，与大多数其他欧洲国家一样，文学院的教室没有配备空调。今后几天，卢布雅尔纳可能有些热，我们在此想提醒您穿着轻便，并注意补充足够的水分。不过，教室配有自动空间通风系统，虽其降温效果不如空调，但应该温度也是可以接受的。最后，如您在会议期间有任何疑问，需要任何帮助，请随时联系我们的工作人员，我们将竭诚为您服务，确保您在参会期间度过一段愉快而有意义的时光。感谢您的参与，祝您参会顺利，满载而归。